Mr. Bishop.
Are lax local prosecutorial practices concerning property crime contributing to the organized retail crime that you've described?
Sir, again, I can't speak to that. I can tell you that we work aggressively within the federal scope, the statutes that we have, whether it's for interstate transportation of stolen goods or things like Hobbs Act. Those are violations that we'll investigate aggressively. At times, we can leverage state prosecution as well if for some reason we can't charge a case federal, so we'll work aggressively to leverage both.
Are lax border control policies contributing to the development of transnational criminal organization conducted organized retail crime?
I can't speak to that either, sir.
Either of you other gentlemen, can you speak to it?
Sir, what I could say is we're certainly laser focused on criminal networks, in those criminal networks that affect our national border and economic security, whether they reside internationally or domestically. I think we're, between our border enforcement security task forces, our transnational investigative units overseas, and our international presence, we are laser focused both on your traditional arrest, indictment, conviction, but also your non-traditional, which would be, your cyber intrusion mitigation, obviously in other more complex methods to investigate transnational crime.
Mr. Kane?
Sir, we've obviously had several cases, to your point, actually a joint case with HSI in California regarding EBT fraud. And the groups are, Eastern European, obviously coming in and kind of subverting the border process. We had problems identifying them, so we do see it, but I see it on a very limited scale, not to the scale that I would say that maybe the Bureau and HSI sees it.
Have there been reductions in local police forces? My impression that at least during the pandemic and following the George Floyd killing and the issues relating to that we saw police forces decline, a lot of sort of a surge in resignations of police forces locally. Is that still the case, or has there been a recovery from that? Mr. Kane?
Sir, obviously locally, I think I don't, as far as resignations, I don't know. I do think there is a challenge in recruitment for local law enforcement. There's a recruitment challenge at our level to get people on the books, so to speak. I can't say that it's attributable to those events, though.
Mr. Perez?
Same, sir. I'm aware nationally of some decline in recruitment, and that's always a challenge similarly for us, for all the federal departments and law enforcement. I can't speak as to the why. I know in the following COVID, that obviously had an effect nationally. I can't speak to whether there's an upswing or not, sir, currently.
Mr. Kroll?
Thank you, sir. We recognize the troubles that our state and local partners have in recruiting. I think that's one area where federal law enforcement can certainly lend assistance to our partners where they need it. I think some of the more non-traditional methods where we're assisting state and local law enforcement partners, whether in violent crime, narcotics trafficking, weapons trafficking, and other areas, certainly in organized theft groups, we can provide those resources to them, through our task force officer program. We have 4,000 task force officers domestically. We can help to augment their local police departments with possibly resources, data sets, and other information that they might not have available to them.
I'm familiar that in Asheville, North Carolina, for example, there's an enormous loss of police force. Cities throughout North Carolina, I'm more familiar with that than other cities in the country. There's been a tremendous impairment of the police forcing, of the size of the police force. They're way down from their anticipated numbers. It strikes me, and I certainly appreciate the fact that you guys are sort of not really, in some cases, wanting to attribute causes of the problem that we face, and you're dealing with it as law enforcement, and I respect what you have to do. It does seem to me that while we can help treat symptoms by doing more information sharing and task force and resource provision, if we've caused a lot of the problem by not sufficiently backing law enforcement and a lot of policymakers have given inadequate support to law enforcement. If we have prosecutors who've decided not to prosecute property crimes, if we have a border that is uncontrolled and it gives rise to transnational criminal organization-led bands that go across the country and do this type of crime, we're probably not going to solve the problem until we address those problems. So that's just my observation, but I certainly appreciate the efforts that you bring to the case every single day, and all those men and women that work under in your agency.